Hi everyone, welcome to Erin's Tasty Heritage. We are on our 5th day of Christmas cookies. I am so excited. 12 days of Christmas cookies has been so much fun. I hope you have seen all of the videos. If not, go back and check them out. There's extra funness in every cookie. Okay, so I wanted to come on and make sure that you all understood. When I make a cookie that has nuts, I always toast the nuts before I get started with the cookie so that by the time you're ready to add them to your mix, they are cool. So we're going to start with a pecan heath crunch cookie, and it takes a cup of pecans. So I have from a cookie that I did the other day, I already have half a cup of pecans. So I'm just going to get another half a cup into the oven. Now my pecans are whole, so I toast them first, and once they've cooled, then I chop them up. So I've got them in a 350-degree oven, and it runs between 8 to 10 minutes. Usually I pull them out right around 8 to 9 minutes, but these came straight from the freezer, so I might go to the 10. I kind of check them at 8 and then go from there. The ones that I did the other day were also straight from the freezer, and I don't know if you can see that, but I get them, I really do toast them. On the camera, some of those look burnt. They're not burnt. They're a real dark, almost a mahogany color. It looks black, but it's not in the camera. But anyway, it just brings out the flavor of the pecan, or if you're doing walnuts, it's the same thing. So I always toast them before I put them in the cookie dough. Sometimes people say that the nut toast while it's baking in the cookie, but you have the nut that is surrounded by the cookie dough that does not get done. So I always just go ahead and toast. Make that a rule of thumb, for sure. It just makes for a better cookie. So these pecan or toffee pecan crunch cookies are some of my best when I'm baking cookies to sell. They are some of my best selling cookies. As far as all of our family and friends, they also are a favorite among our family and friends as well. You're going to start with 2 sticks of softened butter. Okay, you start with 2 sticks of butter and then a cup of brown sugar. Oh, half a cup, I'm sorry. It's a cup of sugar total. So you're going to start with half a cup of brown sugar and half a cup of white granulated sugar. And you always, unless the recipe tells you not to, always pack your brown sugar. All right, and as always, I get my sugar and butter going. And remember, I like, if you haven't, this is your first video, I like to get the butter and the sugar incorporated really well to where the butter becomes fluffy and it's almost like the sugar becomes part of the butter, if that makes sense. And I'll show you, once it gets going, I'll show you. I've got it on 4, and we're gonna let this go for a good 2 minutes. Okay, so see how the butter, it's like the sugar has just disappeared into the butter? That's what you want, and that is fluffy butter, okay? And that is always going to give you the soft, chewy, almost like a crispy edge cookie. That's what you want, okay? All right, now we're gonna get the pecans. the timer went off at 8 minutes, and I really just want that mahogany, that good dark, not burnt, but that good rich flavor, and you get that with that color. So I set it for 2 more minutes. It is because my pecans have come straight from the freezer. I keep my nuts in the freezer to prevent them from going rancid. So when they come straight from the freezer, it does take them a little bit longer to toast. It just does. So if you're pulling yours from your pantry, it's going to be 8 minutes. Okay? Okay, now I'm going to get the dry ingredients ready. And so the dry ingredients is 2 1/4 cups of flour, and I put that in a bowl separate from the wet ingredients. So 2 1/4 cups of flour, 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda. So what I do is I use my 1/2 teaspoon and my 1/4 teaspoon so that I don't guess. Sometimes you can over guess your baking soda, and then you have that baking soda flavor in your cookie. So always, if it's 3/4 a teaspoon, always do 1/2 teaspoon and 1/4 teaspoon, and then 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So I've got that in my bowl, and then I'm going to add to that a cup of toffee bits. Now, when you go to the grocery store, there are chocolate covered toffee bits and then toffee bits, and you want just the toffee bits, not the chocolate covered. I will tell you that in a pinch, I have gone before and they have not had the milk or the just toffee, and I've used it and it's fine, but it's a little bit different of a taste as far as the cookie because you have that chocolate in it. Okay, so that's going to go into your dry mix, and then you're going to take your pecans. So I've pulled mine out, and I'm going to let them cool just a little bit, and then I will chop them and add to, I have a 1/2 cup, so I just have to add a 1/2 cup to that. Then, so we're gonna wait on that just for a second. So then to the wet ingredients, I'm going to add 1 egg, and you want it to be a large egg. If you are like me and get your eggs from a local farmer, your eggs can be different in size. I don't know if you can tell the difference, but this one is more like a medium, and this is a large, if that makes sense. So you want a large egg. And if you get it from the grocery store, that is no problem whatsoever. Okay, so then I'm just going to crack 1 egg. If you're not confident in your egg cracking skills, don't do it over your mixing bowl. Now, I've got to wash my hands. Okay, so if you see, my mixer is on stir, actually. If you've watched me cook cookies before, I always say turn your beater or your paddle up to 6 to add an egg. Because it's on 2, the egg is just pooling at the bottom. It just looks like a pool of egg, so it's not getting into that butter and sugar, and you want that to happen. So I'm gonna put the mixer on to 6. And then I'm gonna let that go, and that liquid pulls the sugar and the butter from the sides so that I don't have to use a spatula to do that. If you don't have a stand mixer and you're using a hand mixer, you might need to scrape your sides down, and that's totally fine. It's just, I don't like doing it. Let's be honest. So then once again, I'm letting that egg get incorporated into the butter and the sugar. Okay, so that has happened. Now I'm going to add my vanilla. And it's a teaspoon of vanilla, and I really don't measure it. I just kind of do a little pour. So if you're not sure how to do that, measure a teaspoon of vanilla. And then once again, you're going to want to put it on 4 or 6 and let that get incorporated into your wet batter. Okay. Now I'm going to chop pecans. Okay, so I want to show you, when I say chop pecans, I don't mean that they are tiny pieces. Like, I just kind of give them a rough chop, and you can already buy them already chopped if you want to do that also. And you would still, with the pieces, you would still toast them. You might do 5 or 6 minutes and then check them, but for sure you still want to toast them. Okay, so I've got my cup of pecans. I'm going to put them in with the flour. And then just with the end of my spatula, I just make sure that every toffee bit and every pecan is covered with flour. This causes, when you pour them into the batter, it causes them to stay kind of evenly distributed instead of going down to the batter, if that makes sense. I hope it does. Okay, so I'm gonna put it on low or stir and then just put all of this in. And then I just let it go until everything is incorporated. And then this cookie is, if you are doing it, okay, so here's another. If you've seen my other cookie, then you know that I use a bigger cookie scoop. I use a 1.5 ounce cookie scoop, which is about 3 tablespoons. If you're doing it by the tablespoon size, then your oven needs to be 350 and you're gonna cook a tablespoon dropped cookie for 8 to 10 minutes. If you're using the bigger scoop, it's a red handle scoop, culinary scoop. I think it's an ice cream scoop, but I'm pretty sure if you said cookie scoop, they would know if you went to a culinary store. Once your batter is done, you're going to turn that off. Okay, so the scoop that I use is about 3 tablespoons. So I turn my oven to 375 and bake them for 15 minutes. And I will show you how I put them on the cookie tray. And then when they come out, I'll show you what they look like. But this cookie dough is so easy. You do not have to refrigerate it. It goes straight from your mixing bowl to the oven. So I will be back in a little bit to show you what they look like. Okay, once you've got your cookies scooped, this batter is a little bit more dry and crumbly. And so I always take like my 3 fingers and just pat down the cookie dough. I don't know if you can see that. Just kind of pat it down. And then that way you don't get a hump in your baked cookie. And just use your 3 fingers and you just kind of press them down. And then they'll go in the oven. Welcome back. Okay, so I just pulled them out of the oven. They're actually a little toasty, so I'm going to put you down so you can see them. Good and golden around the edges, and then just that soft, and you can see that they're done. I actually thought, I have a peeker behind me.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Okay, I actually thought that I was going to taste these with you, but they are super hot and we've got things to do. So I am going to show you just on the, it's just a good cookie. Can you see that? Then that keeps that together. But anyway, that is what they look like. Now I will take them straight with some of my cookies. I leave them on the pan to cool, and then on others I take them straight from the pan to the cooling rack, and that's what I will do with these. I've got one more pan in the oven, so that is 17, 18, 19, 20. That was 22 cookies, so almost 2 dozen. I hope you guys try this recipe. It is super fun. I also thought of another thing that you could do with these. If you had some chocolate lovers, you could dip, once they cool, you could dip half of the cookie into chocolate, and I might do that later and show you all, because the next for tomorrow we are going to do dipped Oreo cookies, and so I might steal some of those and show you that. Also, we are going to an ugly Christmas sweater Christmas party, and I will show you the tray with all that we've already made. I have just been freezing them, and so I will talk to you about that in another video. But anyway, that was my Toffee Pecan Crunch cookie, and I hope you give it a try. Merry Christmas, and we will see you on day number 6. Merry Christmas. Happy 12 days of Christmas cookies, and we will see you tomorrow.